Hello and welcome to our procedural generation AI project. This is called Stealth Game, very basic. My name's Nick. I worked on the AI, and Cyrus worked on the procedural generation. Um,
Hello.
and so I'll quickly just go over what I've done for the AI, a very standard shooter map. Um, so I worked on an AI that has tons of like navigation tasks. So for example, here you can see that the AI is spawn camping this character, but you could have seen earlier like, that right now he's hiding. He's doing a little bit of a search in general, and there's a whole entire uh, perception system um, and tons of shared systems to make this all work. And yes, Cyrus, you go.
Right, so for my contributions, I pretty much did the procedure generation stuff. To be more specific, for one, pretty much I mean, again, I made the rooms generate from one room. I also made the what's it called again? Also, like polished up the room's look. The main thing to I guess write at home about is that like with the rooms, there's several types of rooms as you can see. The gold rooms are your objective points. And I mean, you got the upstairs room, which has stairs, a junction room, which is like the plus sign, an empty room, which is just I mean, regular room, a large room, which has those walls in it, and I think to the right a bit, yeah, that's a weapon room right there. You can just, it's like a barracks pretty much, and I mean, yeah, that's pretty much it from my end.
Yeah. So with the how we brought this stuff together, the networking was a bit difficult. Um, but we plan to integrate our AI and procedure generation into where the AI was able to be created at runtime, because currently it was only being made at compile, and this brought in a lot of challenges. And then also in multiplayer support, making it so it was synchronized across clients. The AI was pretty difficult in this, whereas a lot of replication bugs and a lot of possession bugs were happening. And then in general, the polishing experience, so just adding a bit of materials and sound effects, the Niagara systems that you saw with the tracer, and all the bullet impacts, and all of the animations controlling the on the characters with the aim offsets, where they're looking up, wherever they're looking, and yeah, in general, tons of polishing with UI and things like that. You go, Cyrus?
Yep. So for the challenges on my end for procedural generation, I was having trouble getting the rooms to branch. So the barracks and the objective rooms, they're kind of special since what the way this works, pretty much it'll generate the dungeon minus those rooms, but then it'll choose random rooms and then branch off and spawn the objective and barracks rooms. I was having a lot of trouble getting it to branch off to begin with because I was having trouble pretty much just getting the variables I needed. Actually, that's kind of the biggest issue with me as well. Like I would build the rooms in blueprints, but what I wouldn't realize is that it would be really hard to access like the exit components and stuff from those rooms to spawn off the next room. So what I pretty much just did was I pretty much did a bit of C++ and blueprints. Like I made some components with C++, like the exits, and the rest of the room was pretty much just blueprints. Yeah, the other yeah, pretty much I think just like experience, and also I had hardware issues. Like I had to straight up buy a PC just to make this project.
Yeah. Well, then moving on. So with reflections on our multiplayer implementation, mentioned earlier, there's a lot of replication issues. So getting it so that all the info that was supposed to be on server was only on server, where the clients weren't overriding and having desync issues where things weren't the same across client and then to the server. Um, and then, for example, like a lot of decision making had to be moved into the server. So a lot of methods had to be generalized and things like that. Some of the AI had to be a bit redesigned, where a lot of it was single player only. So perception updates and things like that had to be refactored to run on the server entirely. I'll go back to the other map to show off uh, the multiplayer in a nice way. So as you can see, the AI perfectly syncs with the other client. This is the host, and then this is the client I'm playing as currently, where the AI will be able to target the correct enemy or its enemy.
of straight up aimbot wholly.
Yeah. Um, and then with the multiplayer, the second things, some other things I had to learn were a lot of things had to be multicasted. So all of this visuals had to be just moved. It's not too hard, but then also getting it so that things uh, weren't dependent on the visuals as well, where there's a bit of issues with that. Um, I also found a random bug where it was very annoying, where the auto possession got in the way of the possession of player characters, and in general, very annoying to work with Unreal Engine. Did you find anything wrong with any hardships with your procedural generation?
At least
Um,
in terms of multiplayer, not so much, but at least with procedural generation, like every single time there was a crash, like yes, Unreal is I mean really annoying where if it runs into a null pointer, it won't get caught by the compiler until you run it, and then the game will crash, and then you have to like reload, which like once or twice isn't bad, but like several times, which happened a lot, it's like really annoying. But yeah, other than that, like yeah, also I guess I also had some trouble like with what was it? I had like I guess some coding issues as well, where like a lot of my code was really could have been refactored. I get like it worked at the end of the day, but like wasn't that performative. Um, it generally was like very clunky as well, and like just very primitive. Yeah, that's a word, primitive.
yeah, for sure. I also saw that type of thing where a lot of my nav tasks, for example, uh, the um, the covering system is very heavy on the computer, where it's fine if you do call it once per task, and that's totally fine. But then, for example, trying to check if there is available covering each frame, just to make sure that the cover task runs successfully, was pretty impactful on performance. So, for example, deferring logic to be able to infer whether if the cover task can happen via whether it was successful or not, instead of checking each frame. Um, yeah, but moving on, I guess, to the next thing is, why is this a compelling project? What makes this unique or special? Um, in my opinion, um, I think it's pretty unique and pretty compelling um, as a like a game itself, pretty much as a standalone game. Where yeah, like the AI is pretty extensible. There is not really too many limitations with it currently, and and the like all the components you can add as many tasks as possible as you want. And for example, like one thing is about this is that there's patrolling system as well. So it's pretty good as a stealth type of FPS AI. It wouldn't really lend itself to a like Counter-Strike or Valorant AI, but it's pretty nice and unique in that sense that it has like unique tasks based on the stealth mechanics. And it also listens to audio and also visuals, like with the perception system. So it's not just visuals, but audio. Um, and yeah, what do you think about procedural generation? What does that make it as a unique project?
For the procedural generation end, I think it's kind of like in the first like assessment three. Pretty much, it's got a lot of utility in terms of just being really easy. At least in my opinion, it's really easy to use. Maybe it's because I made it, but like I don't know. Personally, I'm not exactly the greatest with coding, but like I kind of try to make it in a way where it's not too hard to use. So like if you go into like if you go into the actor for the procedural generation, the starting room, there's a lot of U properties there that it just lets it be really customizable to pretty much how you want your room to be. I guess also like what's it called again? The room system as well, using the data assets also makes it really easy to understand. Yeah, overall, yeah, pretty much in my opinion, the procedure generation, it makes it an interesting project because like it's just really easy to implement into other projects. Honestly, I feel like this system could be like it could work in other games. Like you can just customize like the types of rooms that are spawned to fit your type of game, whether it's like a maybe competitive FPS. Okay, maybe not competitive. I mean more of a fun FPS, but like I don't know, multiplayer FPS where like it's a team deathmatch kind of thing, or like maybe it's a more of a co-op game. Either one, pretty much. That's kind of what I had in line for procedure generation.
Yeah. I'm just currently showing off the patrolling system of the AI. Currently, you can see that the AI goes around between patrol points, but also does some guarding mechanics, so it guards around, looks around, etc. Yeah. What else? Um, I guess we can go into a little bit of coding. So I'll go through a little bit of code of the AI first. Quickly index that. Um, so yeah, the AI uses a controller, obviously a character. The character itself utilizes a perception component, a navigation component, and the navigation component drives the tasks where the tasks in the navigation component go in and call various things in the controller. So, for example, moving to a certain location, polling the like a nav path, getting certain info like what it sees, um, and then also, for example, allowing the linkage between navigation component, calling things from perception component, etc. Um, and yeah, so the nav tasks themselves, like I said, they're pretty extensible. Everything's pretty nicely made, where there's tons of configurations between all tasks, and it's a very easy like life cycle where when they're created, they have in the nav task itself, it has um, a subtask, so like a phase within itself. So um, yeah, and then what the other things I've worked on was the shared components of the player, the general components itself. So like the weapon system and the player. So the player is able to hold primary, secondary, and throwables, but we don't have throwables. Um, and so, like for example, here I've got a main primary gun, but you can also pick up the secondary gun and switch between them. And like there's different fire modes, so I'm holding down the button and I can't shoot. So if you shoot or hold the rifle, it will work. And then as you saw, you drop your guns on when you die, and you ragdoll, and they drop their guns. So yeah, you can do some pretty cool things with the guns. You can drop them. Yeah, you can equip them. You can swap them. You can drop everything. Yeah. Um, and yeah, like what did you work on, Cyrus?
So for me in the procedure generation, mainly the way it works in the code, first it starts from the room, the starting room pretty much that sits in the world, which is kind of like the core of the whole thing. That thing has 4 exits, which will be randomly chosen. A room will then spawn off that exit, and then pretty much the process is there'll be a check overlap method that'll create a debug box. It's all in a room base, pretty much. Hold on. Yep, bit lower, bit lower. Like, yeah, it's pretty low. It's pretty down there. But like, yeah, okay. There's the create exit. Yeah, there's check if overlapping. Pretty much, it'll spawn a box collider, which will pretty much it's just gonna say like, okay, there's nothing. Either there's something here or there's nothing here. And if there is nothing there, okay, it'll choose a different location and spawn something there. Otherwise, it'll let you pretty much spawn the room. Pretty much the main thing though is that like it doesn't spawn the room like and box at the same time. It spawns the box collider first. This way, it's less performative. And then like I said earlier, pretty much the branching of the objective room and barracks room, pretty much the overall dungeon will first spawn, and then it'll just choose random rooms to branch off to add objective rooms and barracks. That's pretty much it for
So yeah, the red and the green are the checking, right?
yeah. The greens ones that were good. The red means oh okay something went wrong. Some greens though I think I yeah some greens just mean yeah that green is referring to the upstairs one, while the red is referring to it trying to branch off.
Yeah. Yeah, you can see there's a few branchings that have overlapped on the previous. Yeah. And I guess what we planned to extend upon this was having like infiltration points. We didn't really
Oh yeah.
get into the game loop itself. There are like you can pick these up, but they don't really do anything. They just pick up bubbles, interactables. So there isn't too much of a game loop, but we just focused on the AI itself and the procedural gen. Yeah. Well, anyways, this was our project, and yeah, thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching.